Okay. I was having a think about today's coaching, and when I look at all the teams and everything, the biggest issue that most people have seems to be either contacting prospects or finding prospects.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but that one makes me smile, because I've never run out, ever. And I don't think I ever will, because unless you're an absolute hermit and you're living on an island with no one around you, every single day we're coming into contact with people. But it's whether or not we make use of those exchanges with conversations or not. So what I thought I'd do is have a go, first of all, giving you some ideas about contacts. I'm going to start with the simplest, the very, very simplest one. We've all got one of these, not maybe in pink, but a mobile phone. And I don't quite know how many contacts you've got in your phone, but I'm going to go on to mine. All right, and I haven't done this for a while. So go to your contacts. If you're Android and you come to the search, so for example, if I press my search and if I typed in, let's go for it, the letter A, it tells me that it's found 5,298 contacts that have got the letter A in it. Now, I'm telling you now, they're not all customers and they're not all partners. So I guess I'm as guilty as anyone that there are a lot of people in my phone that possibly I've never even spoken to. Think about it. In your phone, if you went through it piece by piece, who doesn't know what you do? I'd say that was a wonderful starting point. And what's so funny about this is that it's with you all the time, and you've probably actually got their number as well. How good is that? So that would then also proffer the, I would suppose the response from some people is, oh, but how on earth do I contact someone that's in my phone, has possibly been in there for years, and I've never spoken to them? Well, I can remember a couple of years ago, and I cannot remember the partner's name, but do you remember lockdown? Did we ever do it again? But in lockdown, I think we all felt like we dried up a bit. It got difficult because we weren't out and about. And this person decided that they were going to go through their mobile phone. And every day they challenged themselves to attempt so many people. And what this man did was that he'd call it, and whoever answered would then say, whoever the name was, is that, let's say, for example, say, is that Dawn Files? And this person says, yes, it is. And then I would say, or he'd say, Dawn, you're in my phone. At some point, you must have been a very special person. Otherwise, you'd have never made it into my contact list, because I only put special people in my contact list. Now, what you've done straight away is, hopefully, you've made them smile. And then you could go on and say, well, I'm ringing everyone in my phone because I have a gut instinct that I'm trying to remember where I met you. My name is Lisa Ware, and I have done a lot of what we call networking. I've done various jobs in the past. Dawn, can I ask you, how did you and I meet? And I'm sorry that I can't remember. And hopefully they might engage with you. And then you can say, well, the reason I'm calling is it's quite obvious to me that I've never ever told you about what I do. And then I feel it's time to have a bit of a chit chat and say, so when they say, oh yeah, well, we did meet, and they'll explain, And in this case, Dawn would say, yeah, well, I met you at a thing called the Home Guard Club. And I met you through a lady called Sandy Bastable. And I'd go, oh, yes, Sandy. Oh, Dawn, forgive me. That's why I put you in your phone. Why haven't I contacted you? Dawn, you were the treasurer, weren't you? Yeah, because it's come back to me. And Dawn would say, yeah. Oh, Dawn, how ridiculous of me not to have shared what it is I do. Dawn, I'd love to send you some information or even have a proper chat with you. It may not be convenient right now. Now, look, I'm giving you ideas because every single person is going to be different. But why not do that? I wonder how many people are in your contacts on your phone. I'm going to drop someone in it at this moment, and they don't know I'm going to say anything, and it's Roderick. Rod, how many contacts in your mobile phone?
No idea. But when you were talking, I just looked up the A's, and this beginning with A, 477. I don't know how many I find out for the total number.
Yeah, there could be a lot more. That's just put in there.
That's only A.
That's only A, exactly. So, Rod, that's a lot of people. Can I ask you, have you signed up 477 people?
Nope.
Do you think it might be a good starting point?
Well, yes, it could be. Yeah, obviously. Of that 477, not all of them obviously necessarily people, to contact. They may be, insurance companies or something. But yes, you certainly can make a start. You're right.
All right. So there's the first one. Is that a help, first of all, the first idea? Right. Yeah. Second idea. Not my favourite thing, but here we go. Facebook. So are you, and I use it lightly, the term friends with people on Facebook? Now, you don't even have to literally be a friend. And I'm going to share this because I think it's an interesting thing. Anyone that knows me knows I'm absolutely useless at Facebook. I am useless. It is not my method of going out there and reaching to people because I do see it as a social thing. That's me. All right. Now, some people use it avidly, but what has happened for me is that I've been sharing posts and I've kind of made some friends and I didn't know them. Do you understand what I'm on about? They're kind of like, we agree on things. Yeah. And I don't know them, but one particular person had liked something I'd done, and I'd liked quite a lot of his things. And this particular day I was driving and, like your notification pings, and up came that he'd commented on something and it made me laugh. Now, I learned something new, and some of you are going to laugh about what I'm about to say, and I don't care if you laugh at me. That's fine, because I think it also shows you that at senior group leader level, we don't know everything about everything, and I think that's a good thing, okay? Because heaven forbid if I did, I don't think I ever will. But I discovered that Facebook Messenger, which is a private sort of messaging thing from Facebook, that there's a little telephone emoji at the top. And this guy was there and we were friends, but I mean, I'd never spoken to him. I couldn't tell you anything about him. But for some reason, I decided to press this emoji, this telephone handset. And to my absolute astonishment, it started to ring. And then all of a sudden, this person answered. And I'm driving in Bournemouth. And I remember going, oh, I wasn't expecting that. and this guy said, hello. I said, is that Mark? He said, yes. Oh, I said, Mark, this is Lisa Ware. I didn't know we could ring people through Facebook. And he started laughing too. And I said, oh, and we had this gorgeous chat. And we had a right on laugh, and I found out he lived in Liverpool, which I didn't know, and he had a very strong Liverpool accent. Anyway, cut it short, the conversation went, and we were kind of finding out about each other. And then all of a sudden, he told me of his own volition that he was moving. He said, oh, I'm moving soon. I'm finally taking the plunge to move out of the marital home of 28 years. And he said, for the last 15 years, he said, my wife and I have been estranged. We're actually divorced. I said, what? You've been living in the same house? He said, it's a big house. He said, we sort of divided it into 2 flats, but we shared the kitchen. But he said, we get on so well being divorced that we haven't bothered to do anything about it. Now, I've heard this before, and hey, it works for some. But what I want to share with you is this. He then proceeds to tell me, he said, oh, of course, I've got to move. I found the place. But he said, you know what I really hate? Oh, setting up all those services at the new place. Well, I absolutely roared with laughter. He said, what's so funny? I said, do you believe in fate? And he said, sort of. I said, well, Mark, that's what I do for a living. I said, I reduce people's services at home. I said, and I set them up. He said, you don't? I said, yeah, that's what I do. He said, oh, well, you can help me, young lady. I said, oh, I like the young. As it turns out, we've both worked out I'm older than he is. But we had a chat. And what happened a month later, we got the date right, and I signed him up for everything. New line install, took him away from previous version, and he had the lot. Now, I'm not saying that stuff happens every day or every week, but what I want to share with you is I've learned that you can speak to people. And of course, I didn't know his telephone number, did I? So all those people that you don't know telephone numbers for, here's a big clue. If they're on Facebook, there is a way of phoning them and contacting them. Now, I'm sure you've got to build some rapport, first of all. And I suppose you could say that Mark and I did have some sort of rapport because we shared a common theme, and that's why we were liking each other. Now, I'm also going to share something else about Facebook, and this is Dawn again. When Dawn came on, she joined in lockdown, and it was when we had the new remote tool, which transformed our lives, didn't it? Totally. Because prior to that, we had to drive everywhere and go and see people. Anyway, when it came in, Dawn wanted to join just like that. And I remember saying to Dawn about contacting people. Then she came up with an idea. And that idea was she was going to put a little post on her Facebook page. But I warned her. In fact, I told her, don't you dare mention what it's about. Don't you mention gas, electric, broadband, phone, mobile, because it's a no-no. All the barriers will go up. I said, Dawn, you're out to get special people, the first 6 special people that are prepared to help you with a new venture and to help you learn how to use Zoom controls. Well, Dawn does this backdrop red with all these hearts on it. And I think if I'm right, Dawn, all it said was, come on, you rum lot, who's going to help me with something new? And I've got to learn how to use Zoom. It was like that, wasn't it?
That was all I asked for,
yeah. And all of a sudden, up comes all these posts.
Ping, 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 ping.
Yeah. And it was, I'll help you, Dawn. Yeah, go on, I'll help you. Now, they didn't know what it was about. Number one, really important. And then what Dawn did, she then, I think, probably private messaged them or in some way contacted them. And you had your first, well, the first 3 was all on one day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, every one of them came to the table and they did not know what it was about. They hadn't got a clue. And Dawn saying, the middle one was your best mate, Julie. I remember that. Julie?
Angela.
Sorry, Angela. And she said to me beforehand, she goes, Angela's never, ever going to take this on, but she's my mate and she'll help me practice. And I said, Dawn, that's all it's about, is practice. Well, much to Dawn's amazement, all three said yes. And Dawn earned 750 quid that day. And Dawn said, have you got any idea how many hours I have to work to earn that sort of money? So I think there's a place for Facebook, and there's 2 ideas there. Now, the third idea is much more sensible. It's more conformist, and I'm going to share it with you. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I'm any good and I've got stuff ready. Forgive me. Oh, no, I can't do that. Hang on. No, can't do that. Hang on. That's it. Right. Bear with me. Now I can. So pick you guys up there. Open it up. Share. Okay. Can everybody see that what we're looking at is my partner portal dashboard? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to show you where you go. Perhaps write this down in bullet point. So on the dashboard, go to Learning Portal. Okay. And there's actually lots of things. They've really improved this. In fact, I must admit, guys, I would say I'd share this with you. Spend some time, you know, one afternoon, have a look at it all, because there's some really good things here. Now, I think the one that really matters here is getting appointments. Yeah. So if we click that, it opens up again. Oh, it says using the phone, building your list, all sorts of stuff. So let's go to building your list. And hey ho, here it is. Download the memory jogger. Now, as they say in good old parlance, one I prepared earlier, I'm going to bring it up, which I've got, and bring that into the share. Hang on. And here it is. And I've made it nice and large, so hopefully you can all see. And it is an acronym, frogs. And you know, this is so old and so basic, but gosh, it works. And folk, if you don't bother to sit and have a good look at this, and then don't just look at it, get that notebook out and start thinking about these things. I mean, look, there's one. Who attended your wedding? That's going back a bit, isn't it? I know if it was Rob Barras, he'd say, if you were going to have a divorce party, who would you invite to that? Okay, so think about these things, because there's lots on there. Recreational contacts, occupational contacts. There's all sorts of stuff. There's loads of things. And what I love is this second section, which is, who do I know that? Now, I know it's harder for people that haven't got children. And I'm not on about little children, I'm on about grown-up children even. Okay, I know that, yeah. But there is lots of stuff here that can give you an idea. So I think this is for rich people. Who cleans your clothes? Is anyone that rich that they have somebody does their washing? I haven't. I guess on the odd occasions I've done things like take stuff to the dry cleaners, and I've exchanged conversations. But look, anyone help in the garden around the house? Do you know anyone that deals with the public? Who works in the police, the fire, the postal service? Come on, everyone. Have you actually spoken to your postie? Mm-hmm. Do you know anyone that does personal counselling? Do you know any religious leaders? Can I tell you, when you get someone from the church, it's quite astounding what happens. And I've had a gentleman that came by what we used to call Win a Mini, and it was at the moment I was packing up. And what transpired was, I didn't know it. He was the treasurer for the church, and it didn't all happen instantly. But over a period of a few months, what happened? He came on board for all the services. He then got me to do the church, which was in Ringwood and still with us, the Sacred Heart. And then word got round, and gradually word was getting round through the congregation, and I ended up signing up a lot of people. But also he referred me to, don't laugh, a nunnery. I have signed up a nunnery, and her name is Sister Lamoto, and they're still with us all these years later. So there is all this, it's with this, look, folk, it's not who you know, it's who they know. And I'm going to give you some ideas because there's loads of stuff on there, right? And you can do this for yourself, but I'm going to stop the share, right? Because I want to see you and I want to explain. It doesn't happen overnight. It never will do. If you're doing it properly and you work it right, and you don't go out there like a horrible salesman who puts his foot in the door and won't let you, he won't go until you sign up. Anyone ever known that kind of thing? I have. Do we like it? No, we hate it. But what can happen over time, if you do it right and you listen to people's woes, and I'd say that there's more people with woe at the moment than there's ever been, okay? But for example, my dentist, I had been with him possibly, I've got to be honest, a good 6 years. And then eventually it's like curiosity killed the cat. And finally I got an appointment and they are customers. And then I did their dental surgery, and the dental surgery, they've moved away for the electric, but they've still got the phones and broadbands. But what happened was, I remember when, because you can't talk much when you've got your mouth open and it's full of wadding and stuff. So it's quite difficult, isn't it, this? But afterwards, I can remember when Paul, he got the services and he was talking about it, and the nurse was there and her name was Debbie. And all of a sudden, Debbie couldn't help herself because people sometimes work on the principle of they hate feeling they've missed out on something. Isn't that interesting? It's a little bit like nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody wants to buy. Isn't that weird? And likewise, they don't like to feel they're missing out on something. And what happened, I ended up signing up Debbie, who then referred me to her boyfriend who lived in another flat, and I signed him up. She then referred me to her sister and then to her parents. Now, this is all from one contact, which is my dentist, Paul Lockyer. He's gone on to refer me to his wife, Sharon's parents. And you know what? I don't think it's the end of the road. It could go on. It could go on because that's the way it works sometimes. So going back to that list, think about all the people that you come into contact with. Do you sometimes go to the local post office? Because often these people will work in the post offices for years and years and years. All right. And there's someone to make conversation with. And how do you make conversation? Well, it's kind of, I suppose I throw in the odd line. One says he always knows when I'm going for it. That's his words. I know when Lisa's up to no good, basically. And I'll throw in a line like, oh yeah, because of what I do, people just love the fact that they've got more money after they've seen me. I don't know if you've written that down, but that is one of my lines. Because do you know what? If I heard somebody would say that to me, I would turn around and go, well, what the heck do you do? Yeah. And what you'll find is all the leaders that are really, really good, especially like some of the big customer gatherers, what they do is they don't sell, they drop in snippets of information that makes people think more, that makes them question, because we want them to ask us and not the other way round. Now I did a 20k giveaway on Sunday. God, it was a hot one. Wasn't it hot on Sunday? Wasn't it beautiful? And the next door trader, his name was Steve, and he sold beautiful eco candles with soy oil. And we're all setting up. And in fact, we decided to help him get his gazebo up, and he helped us. just the kind of thing you do, isn't it? And we did like look out for each other if somebody wanted to go to the loo, that kind of thing. And so you know, it's what you call just caring about the next person. And a couple of times he made conversation with me, and he actually said to me, and this is interesting, he said, so are you a kind of switching service then? Has anyone ever asked you, are you like compare the market? I think a lot of people actually think that what we do is we find suppliers and we get it all together for them. And I've known that a lot. And I think there's often, and it does make me wonder about the signage that we show as well. Or it might just be human nature. They're not really looking. They're not really understanding. And so what happened, I just said to him, no, I said, it's not like that. I said, oh God, no. I said, I've been with them 19 years. And this is me. I straight away got my bill and I showed him. And when I went through it, he went, wow, that's brilliant. I said, oh, I said, who are you with then? Oh, he said, we're with Sky. And he said, I think we're with Eon. He said, and I'm with Vodafone for my mobile. And he said, oh, my partner is with O2. And I said, well, at the moment, I said, you've got it all over the place and it probably all comes out at different times. And I said, this is nice and easy on one bill. He went, yeah, I like that. I said, oh, right. And I left it. I left it for that moment. I thought, I'm not going in, excuse the expression, for the kill yet, because I think you can overdo it. So I left it for that moment. And then a few minutes later, he asked me and he said, so would you be able to do one of these comparisons for me? I said, yeah, of course I can. Yeah, absolutely. And I said, I tell you what, look, fill in one of these forms. And I just gave it to him. I said, get all your details down. And I said, Steve, when we're not so busy, because I said, we're getting busy now. I said, shall we have a chat later? And he said, yeah. Now I'm going to suggest this to you. By not being that person that thrusts, as I put it, I think he kind of like was more engaging with me. Because to give you an idea, we did the spring countryside show and I told the team, Annette and all of them, I said, oh, by the way, next door, I said, whatever you do, please don't sign him up. Well, you only had to look at him to realise why I would have said that. He was one short of a picnic, as we say. And as Juan and I were setting up this full-blown gazebo with walls, and it was so windy, and we are absolutely like battling the winds and trying to do it. He's trying to thrust his card in my hand. Do you know what? I can't think of anything worse. No. And you know, there are partners out there that don't realise and they do this stuff. And I would say it's not what you do at all. So what I've done here is I've given you some ideas. Now look, how else to get prospects very quickly? Events, 20k giveaways, neighbour letters. There are people doing so well at neighbour letters. I can't say it's my thing, all right? I've had a go, I do it, but I don't feel that comfortable. And you've got to do something you feel comfortable with. And I have given it a good fair few times. I've done it a fair few times. But I'm happiest when I'm at a 20k giveaway. I just love it. I love the whole camaraderie, fun, when it's a nice day like it was on Sunday. It was just wonderful. And I like that. I like that, being out there, speaking to people. There are many other ways. There's business networking. There's networking at the gate if you're a mum. There's people on here. She's there. She's probably up to her eyes in it, Michelle. Michelle runs baby massage and stuff. And, you know, she's got kids. So when the kids, they get them, they talk to other mums. There's all kinds of networking. It's not just formal networking. Okay. Isn't that true, Michelle?
I am listening. I'm just sorting the kids out. So yeah, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I expect a lot of your networking is at the gate. sometimes.
Mostly at the school gates or in my baby classes when the mums don't want to go back to work or if they're moaning about the bills or whatever, I just say I can help you. I'll message them later on, sort of thing. So yeah, don't do it then.
Did you hear the words when they're moaning? And don't we know that the British could do that so well? And what we've got to do is listen to their moans and groans, and then we might be able to help them. Now, look, that doesn't mean that everybody out there is desperate. I'm going to say this. In a lot of the area where I go and live, there are some very, very well-to-do people who are not in any way scrimping and scraping. And in fact, what tends to happen in these crisis recession type times, unfortunately, the chasm gets bigger. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And do you know what? That is history. But what I will say to you is those higher demographics, if you can infiltrate, they don't get there by not looking after the pennies. And often you'll find, how do I put this politely? They're tight as you can imagine. And it's because they've always looked after their money and they don't give it away easily and they care about where they spend it. So actually, they're also very, very good too. So look, guys, hopefully that's been some help. Any questions before we end this session? And if not, I'm going to do a quick plug for the very brand new Bournemouth, Poole, Christchurch, surrounding Dorset buzz that's happening this Thursday. And it's the first. Andrew Lindsay spoke to all the leadership just last month, a couple of weeks back, and he basically said he wants to hand back the network and the leadership to the network. And it's time to say goodbye to loads of all this Zoom stuff. And it's time to get the energy and feel the wonders of being again together like we used to. And, you know, there are people on here like Annette and Steve and Val that have been in this business years. How many miles did we used to travel to go somewhere? Everywhere, all over the place. And it's absolutely true. But there's a massive difference about being in the room with lots of other partners. Now, let me just tell you what this event's about. First of all, it's kind of going back to what we used to do. Now, there's going to be a lot of fun because we want to make it a fun event. And the point of it mostly is to get partners together and to do things like, oh, here comes my cup of tea. Thank you very much. It's to get the partners together so that you might want to buddy up and find a success person to work with. There'll be people there that know things you don't, and it's really great to be hands-on. It's not just about at 8 o'clock, bring guests. Now, yes, bring guests, and it has an incredible impact on people that turn up. I tell you what, you can show a virtual presentation as much as you want, but it doesn't have that atmosphere. How can you describe it? It's a bit like, ever gone to a concert for your favorite group? Wow, it's stunning. The atmosphere is just amazing. Very hard to replicate it on TV. It's just not the same. This is exactly the same. When they're there, and this is the key thing, they call it, in the old days, I learned they called it window dressing. And window dressing is, supposing you invite a guest, and let's say, for example, they're a hairdresser, all right, just for quickness. Now, they're never going to listen to you if you're not a hairdresser. But if there's somebody in the room that you go, oh, there's Christine Wise, and you say, hey, come and meet Christine, and you introduce them to Christine, and you say, Christine's a hairdresser. She's been doing this for so long. Do you know what? That guest is going to be, wow, they're going to want to pick their brains big time because they feel an affinity with that person and it's powerful. And then in the presentation, there is a point at which the hosts will get certain partners to stand up and give a very brief testimonial about what life used to be like, and then what their UW business has done for them in a positive way. And that is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because it has such an impact on people, and you'll find people will then want to go and talk to other people. So this is the first one. Please make a note of your diary if you're in the vicinity. It's going to be on the second Thursday of each month, and we've chosen that so it doesn't clash with all the things that happen in the first week. And we've chosen the Thursday because there's a lot of stuff happening on Mondays and Tuesdays. So we went for the Thursday, and it's at what's called the Village Hotel, which is right next to the Bournemouth General Hospital. And the reason we've chosen it, it's so easy access straight off kind of like the dual carriageway, the 338. Very easy for whichever way you're coming, whether it's from the west, the east, the north, you're there and you're there. And there's plenty of parking. There is cafe, restaurant, and it's a hotel if people need to stay as well. So guys, hopefully that's help. I just better have a look at the chat. Somebody's put 2 things on it. Ah, okay. Who's Jeff Davis?
The guy that made the phone calls.
Oh, right. Excellent. Well, look, guys, next week, same time, same place. I'm going to put this on the recording, and see you next week. If you've got any ideas for me, what to make the topic of, so I can be of some help to you, that would be great.
Lisa, can I give you a call afterwards?
And Annette, I'm going to call you afterwards. I need to have a chat with you. Brilliant. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.